Hey, this is Craig the Pool Man with Pool Specialist. Today we're going to demonstrate the easiest way to replace a bulkhead on a Pentair TR filter. And this is good whether you are in a TR60, TR100, or TR140. And this would be everything but the full commercial that has a huge bulkhead. This is what I'm referring to as a bulkhead. And a lot of times they get cracked and they leak as they get older. So the easiest way to remove them is to actually get yourself a reciprocating saw or a sawzall, and then you're going to cut it right here so that it just kind of falls out. However, one of the things that you want to do is before you actually cut that, go inside and loosen the pipe that goes to it. Of course, if it's the upper bulkhead, you want to loosen the manifold and pipe, and if it's the lower bulkhead, then you're going to have to loosen the actual lateral pipe. Now, to get to the lateral pipe, you're going to have to remove the upper bulkhead pipe, which means that you would probably want to replace this union or this bulkhead, and in order to unscrew the top one so that you could actually get to the bottom one. So we're going to go ahead and cut this off. Now it's partially melted, but that way you should be able to pry it off, and at that point we can go ahead and remove the threaded part from inside. Okay, so now we reached down in there and we pulled out the bottom lateral tree, and so we have to unscrew this. That's why I said you want to make sure that you loosen this pipe before you cut this, because sometimes they make this so tight it's almost impossible to get off. The reality is when you put it back on, hand tight is good enough. You don't really care whether it leaks a little bit of water inside the filter. So go ahead and remove that piece right here. Okay, so now we've loosened it with the channel lock. So now we can just remove this by hand. And there you go. And you want to make sure that this is clean, that you don't have any sand in here, because otherwise it's going to booger up on the threads when we put the bottom bulkhead in. Okay, so this is the bulkhead, and there's several parts to it. One is there is a rubber washer that goes here, and then this goes up against that. This is on the outside, and then there's an O-ring. Now, one of the things that you're going to notice is that there's actually a bend in it, right? So it's curved, and here is a key right here, so you cannot turn that. So when you put this in the filter, this key is going to be facing up, and you can tell by that little dot right there that you're facing up. This goes on the outside of the filter, and then on the inside of the filter you have this, right? And if you notice, that has that same curvature in it as well. So it's the inside of the filter, so it's going like this. And then you have a nylon washer, and then you finally have a nut. Now, one would hope that they would put them into the package correctly. However, apparently they have a number of incompetent people that are putting these things together, and as we found on this one, it was actually incorrect. So the correct way is make sure you've got this little rubber washer, then this piece, and it's keyed, and then your O-ring, then this piece, make sure that that curvature is facing the inside of the filter so it touches the filter, and then your nylon ring, and then finally your nut. Now there's also a special tool for tightening this up, and we can give you the number on that in a second, but this is going to go in. But before we actually tighten this up inside, we are going to thread our bottom lateral tree to this. So we're going to tighten it up enough just to get my threads in here. Again, we don't need it very tight. We just kind of need it hand tight. And then we'll tighten this up, and we've got a special wrench that we're going to show you. All right, this is what a bulkhead wrench looks like. You're going to have to go in the Pentair catalog and order it out of that. And you could use a pair of channel locks, but it makes it a whole lot more difficult. And that is going to fit perfectly over the nut on the inside. This is the nut on the inside, so you can see there. And you're going to tighten that up as hard as you possibly can, without snapping it, of course. Okay, so we now have our bulkheads installed. We actually replaced the bottom and the top one. We've got them nice and tight using the wrench on the inside. And we put our laterals back on. We put our manifold back on. And now we're ready to test this. We are going to put this back into its place. We are going to fill it with water and pressure test it, because if we have any leaks, we want to make sure that we get the leaks before we put the pea gravel and sand in it. They're much, much easier. So don't pull any shortcuts and think that you're going to skip over pressurizing it. The other thing is, even if you were ready, even if you had a new filter, and we typically fill them and pressurize them before we put sand in them, just because we have had some leak. And you're going to fill it halfway with water before you start pouring the pea gravel in. That is so that you don't snap and break the laterals in the bottom of the filter. One of the big things is there in the top of the bottom lateral pipe, you're going to see that there's a pipe coming out of that. Make sure there is a pipe coming out of it. Make sure that it is flexible and it's not dry rotted and snaps, because 90% of the time when we get calls about they have sand in their pool and they think they have a broken lateral, it's really that little poly pipe that goes in the center of the bottom laterals. And it's just, there's a nut with a quarter turn on it, and you quarter turn counterclockwise, it takes it open, and then you put your pipe in and quarter turn clockwise, and it's good to go. So we're ready to go at this point. So thank you so much for watching the video. I hope you found it educational, and if you did, please drop us a like, follow us if you would, and thank you so much for watching. Have a great day.